Here I am in Chinatown, Yokohama, Japan. Laowa lenses, one of my favourite ultra-wide angles ever because yes, they're cheap, made in China but not exactly typically made in China stuff. Leave your prejudice behind and let me show you why Laowa lenses are a bit of alright.
This video is sponsored by Squarespace, the place to go to for creating your own slick-looking website or online store.
Usually I'm bigging up about lenses from the biggies, the heavyweights. I've only featured Laowa twice, and hashtag not an ad. I think more attention should be paid to their stuff because unlike other Chinese brands that go for selling ridiculously fast lenses with no substance, Laowa are carving out their own niche. This lens has zero distortion, and this one has an end that lights up and a control panel that looks like the ones that make your hospital bed go up and down. But apart from that, why big it up? Why? Why? Simply why? For vlogging and stuff like that, I actually prefer this 7.5mm lens to the 7-14mm because you can add filters and also it's manual focus, so you just put it on a set focal distance and you just film. That's the rough kind of patch I have to aim for, anywhere within that subtly coloured zone and it will be in focus, roughly. The 7-14, sometimes it might be out of focus, and with GH5, most of the time it is. Laowa lenses are manual focus only, which I don't see as a major problem with super wides. Focusing is smooth as butter, or margarine, or olive oil, or whatever hipsters spread on their bread and is smooth these days. You get the point. It's small, it's lightweight, it's easy to handle, you can just move the focus about like that quite easily, and it's f2. Look. Probably gets bokeh, even though this is a tiny sensor. It's a microfine lens, which is only appropriate for micro four thirds mount lens, but even their ultra wide full frame lenses are not big for what they offer. In fact, if you want to change the focus just one-handed, you can. Look, hand over here, racking the focus. This place is great. I mean, usually I don't like going to Chinatowns when visiting places, but this place, this Chinatown, it's fantastic, and it's kind of because it's just all dense with things, with stuff which seems ultra Chinesey, but it's not quite Chinesey. I mean, it doesn't look quite the same, but yeah, it does look the same, if that makes sense. I mean, that's Ronald McDonald Mao right there, peddling sulong baos that look nothing like it, and panda buns that hopefully are only decorated like pandas on the outside and not on the inside. Bunman! Super Bunman! But yeah, I like this Laowa lens, 7.5mm, about 15mm, because it's so wide, it captures all of this detail in the frame. When everything's so tight, when space is at a minimum, it can still capture it all. It's just dead handy to have a lens that can pull in all the details of a cramped place with lots of things going on. And this little lens also is sharp, has low distortion and low on crud like colour fringing. But if that 15mm quiv is not wide enough, Laowa have taken things further. Well, if you thought 7.5mm was wide, this is even wider. It's 4mm wide, fisheye wide. Look at that, fishy fine vision right here. I bet the mic sounds good. I bet this sounds good because I'm basically licking a lens. I mean, there's almost lickable distance right here, and this is how close I need to be to get my face looking like that on the screen. I mean, this kind of wideness is a very special lens. It's a specialty purpose lens. It's not for every kind of situation. It's wider, but yes, it's a fisheye. So it's a so-called circular fisheye because it's circular, but when you're shooting video, the top bit and the bottom is cropped off, obviously because it's 16:9. One thing is this aperturing is incredibly easy to knock. It was on F11 just now. Hopefully that wasn't too noisy. Okay. I mean, there's not much to the barrel of this lens. It's quite easy to touch just everything on it, excellently. It's got a nice focusing tab though. Not that you really need to focus when it's this wide, everything is in focus. But it is nice to have a fisheye just for these kind of effects. It's crazy. I mean, a fisheye like this has the power to make any tiny little space look absolutely cavernous. Look at this. It's massive. I could get used to vlogging with this actually, although I wouldn't be the one pioneering the use of a fisheye for vlogging. Majonji used it ages and ages ago. But if you want wider and you don't want it all fishified, Laowa went even wider with straight lines. I do have the Laowa 10-18mm zoom lens that goes from ultra wide to really ultra wide. You can't get any wider than 10mm rectilinear. Rectal liner. With a 10mm ultra wide, with ultra wides that are rectilinear, full frame, you have to be very careful where you place things in the frame. With a fisheye, it doesn't really matter because everything is kind of circularized, which makes it look cool. So yeah, 4mm in full frame terms is 8mm, and this is 10mm at its widest, which is not as wide as this fisheye. But I think that the fisheye is easier to handle than 10mm full frame. I mean, like, all the wideness goes from edge to edge. With a fisheye, you don't really mind distortion because you expect it to be all distorted. So even if it's high up from a high angle like this, or low down, it doesn't look too bad. But with a rectilinear 10mm, it just looks odd. With a big head, just the top of your head, you look like an alien. You look like something from Roswell incident. And just in case you're thinking, oh, this looks a bit different, that's because now I'm in Shinjuku, Tokyo.
Oh yay, it's Christmas time. Lights are up.
Well, I bet this looks pretty good in fisheye vision. Right here, look at all those pretty lights. I mean, this is what it looks like in fisheye vision. Look, it's not too bad. There's not too much dead space. Because it's all curved, it kind of fills in that space. It's all cramped in, lots of detail in one lovely picture. 10mm, what does it look like? This is what it looks like. A rectilinear 10mm will provide you with a lot of dead space. You have to end up trying to fill that space to avoid making it look too bland. Still, even though I'd prefer 16 to 35, I appreciate the feat of making a 10 to 18mm full frame. It's not as sharp as their other offerings, but it offers that range that goes really bloody wide. And look, as much as I like this stuff, there are some things that have missed the mark. One thing about fisheyes is that it's so wide. There's nowhere to hide. When you're fiddling about with your tilty flippy screen, you see your hand, you can see your peak design strap lug, even if you're just standing, if somebody's standing by your side, even to the side of the camera, when you think it shouldn't be able to see it, it can see it because this is a 210-degree fisheye, which captures, basically, it captures behind the lens itself. But hey, you got to accept that because that's part of the charm of the fisheye in the first place. The only thing I can't accept is the fact that it captures the grip of the GH5. Look, that's the grip right there. It's my hand on the grip. Another thing that does bug me is that because this lens is so small and there's nowhere to grip it, it's quite a slippery lens. When you're unmounting this lens, you just get your greasy fingerprints all over the lens. I mean, Laowa has certainly created a bit of niche with their lenses. They create wide lenses, they create macro lenses, they create wide lenses that are macro lenses. They create big, long, sticky things that you stick up things that are wide macro lenses, funnily enough. And that's the thing about Laowa, is they try something different. They don't do the same things. They don't do the same 16-35 f4s. They're doing something like a 10 to 18. They're doing something like a big sticky thing that you can stick up things. They do zero distortion wide angle lenses. Of course, most lenses won't be completely perfect, but this showing up the grip is a bit of a bummer, especially as I plan to use this lens with the GH5. I don't really want to change the camera just for this lens, but look, at least Laowa dared to be different. I mean, you could argue that that is a bit of a design flaw, but there's no denying that they do make some very cool wide-angle lenses. I bloody loves them because what they're trying to do with their wide wides is either trying to take things further than what the big brands are doing, creating a niche that others don't fill, or just have affordable alternatives. They're on the right path to creating quality goods, and that's why, if you don't already know about them, you should definitely take note of the little lenses that they make. Oh, and just before we go, a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video is Squarespace. If you want to set me on a website, domain or online store, you should check them out because they make it super easy to get started with a plethora of templates and 24/7 customer service. You can get started with a free trial today, and there's 10% off your first order with this very special discount code in the description box below. Go check it out.